Lesson 2. What it means to sell a call and a put. In the last lesson, we learned what it meant to buy an option or to be long an option. In this case, you pay up front to become an owner of an option. To be short means to be a seller of an option which you do not own. Selling an option to open a trade can also be called shorting an option or writing an option. Now, let's take a look at the relationship between a buyer and a seller, or someone who buys an option and a person who sells or writes the option. If someone buys or goes long a call option, someone has to be on the other side of that trade. In this case, someone buys a call. On the other side of the trade is someone who writes or sells the call and has an obligation to sell the stock to the buyer. A trade that involves someone who buys a put option, and has the right to sell stock, means that someone has to be on the other side of that trade and has the obligation to buy the stock. The relationship between buying and selling always exists. Again, buyers of options pay up front to own the option. Sellers, or writers of options, receive cash, which is theirs to keep regardless of what happens in the future. This might make more sense if we replace the word option with the word insurance. Now, let's look at this scenario. If you have an automobile, it is common to buy insurance to protect you if something goes wrong. You pay up front for this insurance policy. You are long the policy. This is similar to buying a put, so if you have an accident you have the right to put your car back to the insurance company. This is easy enough to understand. Now, on the other hand, if you are the insurance salesman, meaning you are short the insurance policy, you receive money up front for selling the policy, but you now have the potential obligation to buy the car from the person who bought the insurance policy. All that we have discussed here is the right of a buyer and the obligation of a seller, just as we have learned in these first two lessons. As we progress, the roles of buyer and seller of options will become very clear. Feel free to review this lesson again, and when you have a full understanding of what we have learned, proceed to Lesson 3.